So some time ago, I made a giant spreadsheet for Resident Evil 4, specifically all of the stats for all of the weapons. I didn't do the Punisher or the hand cannon because I don't care. Just the regular guns and when you get them, as in when they're unlocked, how much they cost, and what the exact stats are. And the reason I did this is because a lot of RE4 weapons tier lists, I will say all of the ones I've seen, will either talk about the fully upgraded versions with the exclusives, the base versions, or they'll oscillate between them, or they just won't be clear. But I don't think that's entirely fair, because you're not playing the entire game in the village where you don't have stuff upgraded, and you're not playing the entire game in New Game Plus where you've got everything exclusive. You're progressing. And this is showing you when you get those progressions. And we can compare, very annoyingly, what the exact stats are at different points of the game. And I even have our calculator open, and that can compare our damage per second. So the straight up damage stat, or firepower, divided by the fire speed is your sort of naive damage per second, or more precisely, your damage rate. But this is your true damage rate, where you take how much damage you're doing total, so the damage per shot times the number of shots, C is capacity, divided by the total time in a cycle. And the time of a cycle is the reload time, plus the time spent per shot times capacity. So this factors in reloads. And then we can compare that for everything. Also, I know some of the behind the scenes stats for weapons that they don't actually tell you. So we'll factor that in. For example, handguns, all handguns and TMP have a 7.5 headshot crit chance. Meanwhile, the Punisher, I didn't actually say here, penetrates targets. They tell you that. Shotguns, knockback, limited, strong range, 38% headshot crit. Stuff like that, okay? So we are going to factor that in. For all shotguns. And the last thing I'll say before we really go, if weapons are competing for the same niche, I have to give extra credence to the better one, okay? So here's a list we're starting with, okay? Riot gun. I'm going to do that later. We're skipping over it. Striker. Obvious S tier. Even without even without Ditman glitch. If you have Ditman glitch, it's a league of its own. It's like double S, whatever. But without Ditman, look at the stats. It has, by the way, the way I set this up, so I have the initial stats listed like this, very straightforwardly. And then this means at 1-2, you can spend 15,000 pesetas to upgrade the damage to 4.5, okay? So if you look at the shotgun, riot gun, striker, shotgun damage maxes out at 8. The riot gun damage maxes out at 10, and that's with the exclusive. The striker starts at 6, and you only need to upgrade it once to get it within range of the upgraded riot gun. So the striker's already winning through the damage. The striker has the best fire speed, 1.1 rather than 1.53, which is just huge, way more. The reload speed is the same. I wrote 3 instead of 3.03. I don't know if that was a mistype or if it is 300th of a second faster. It doesn't really make a difference. And the capacity, of course, is 12 from the baseline, which is on par with the upgraded 17 and 18s of the others. And of course, when you upgrade the striker, it goes up to 28 before exclusive and 100 with the exclusive. And to add complement to not injury because it's doing well, not badly. The thing is only 2 times 5 in terms of the size. All the other shotguns are the largest weapons in the game, 2 squares by 8 squares. That's a big deal. This makes a striker only slightly larger than a magnum. So striker's great. We don't even have to really talk about that. And I am factoring in ease of access, and when you get it, it's really good. Punisher, I think Punisher is going to stay in D tier. It's usable, because it just works, right? But the problem with the Punisher is that it has the worst stats in class. The Punisher starts at 0.9, literally the lowest damage of any of the pistols. Realistically, you'll probably get it at 1.1 if you're doing the medallions. And it maxes out at 1.9. The exclusive does literally nothing. Good luck getting 5 enemies in a row rather than the usual 3. Because that's the exclusive. You get 5 enemy penetration. But the damage is terrible. 1.9? That's fully upgraded. You're spending 10, probably not 10 because you got the special one from the medallions, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, 35,000 for 1.9 damage. It's just not enough. Meanwhile, you can buy a red9, 1.6 damage immediately, and the thing only costs 14,000. So, or the blacktail, maybe a better comparison. For 24 plus 15 is 39,000. You get a 1.8 damage blacktail, which is already on par with the Punisher on the first upgrade from the blacktail. So the Punisher is bad. Its only good thing is that it already has its ability when you get it. It's not like some other weapons where they rely on the exclusive. It just has the penetration for free. But the thing is, you're paying for the penetration with all of the other stats. And the other stats are bad. And I think the worst thing about the Punisher is that you get it for free. And I know that sounds bad, but it fools players into like thinking it's a super cool special handgun only the cool kids get. Meanwhile, it's just not good. Okay. Handgun, I think, has similar issues in terms of it just has low stats. You can actually compare Handgun Punisher 1.9, 1.1, 1.2, 1.4, 1.3, 0.6, 0.5, 1.8, 1.7 to 1.9. It's very similar damage stats. And all the pistols except the red9 have extremely similar other stats. Though, if you look, say, just for example, this upgrade versus this upgrade, the handgun is fairly cheap. The exclusive is good. And you do get it at the start of the game. And you really can't... what happened here? The capacity baseline is 10. Sometimes it switches things to a date. It's good. It's just a good weapon. And sorry, it's good that you get it early for free. That is a big deal. And it's the only pistol you can use until nighttime, except for the TMP as another sidearm, not exactly a pistol. But what the handgun does is it shoots from the shoulder. So it's actually your only non-shotgun shoulder-firing, laser-shooting weapon. And I know that sounds not that important, but you're shooting all those laser beam bomb traps in the early village. So I actually think that's pretty good. And I would rather have that than a TMP for the early chapters in terms of speedrunning. So I think this is either B or C. It's statistically terrible, but you get it for free, so it's very difficult for me to hate on. And I think the same reason for the shotgun. Both of these just aren't good, but you get them for free. Like we already looked at, the shotgun has really bad stats, especially the slowness. This fire speed is atrocious. It means every time you shoot, you're standing there for 1.5 seconds, vulnerable. It's really bad. Because in RE4 original, you can't move while you're pumping the shotgun, and you must pump the shotgun every shot. I will say, though, it is better than the riot gun. Notice how the shotgun is cheaper. All of the upgrades are cheaper by around 5,000 each. These are comparable, 30, 32,000, 40, 50,000. You know, those are close. But after all that, you've spent way less on the shotgun cumulatively, right? 15, 20, 25, all that. And you get to 8. Meanwhile, the riot gun is also at 8 after all those upgrades, but you spend more money. Capacity stats are literally cheaper on the base shotgun, despite getting you to 18 rather than 17. The base shotgun is just better than the riot gun. Now, okay, maybe you'd say, well, hold on. What about when you get your upgrades? Oh, okay. By the time you get to the castle, 3-1, you're up to here. So that's 5 damage, which is the same as the riot gun baseline, though you can get it to 5.5 a tiny bit later. No, actually, as soon as you get it. And then you can get it to 6 relatively soon by the swords. This is actually the only upgrade change when you meet the merchant by the swords. It's the only other thing he has in stock from last time. And then next time you can upgrade the base shotgun is all the way at the grails. So admittingly, for this segment, yes, the riot gun is stronger, but it's by such a small amount. The grails versus the clock tower. What's first there? The grails. The grails come just before it. However, you know, to credit the riot gun, it doesn't really matter how much damage you're shooting the novies. That's between grails and the clock tower. So, because you shoot them in the air. So I could see that not really mattering. And then you get this upgrade to 8 before this upgrade. So the shotgun is just better than the riot gun, both in terms of the actual stats. It's literally better. And also it's easier to get and cheaper because this thing's free and this thing's not. Oh, the other issue, both of the exclusives for these guns are garbage. You're spending 120,000 for 2 more damage, and also the fall off is changed. Same thing for the base shotgun. This is actually what happens. So when you shoot the enemies with shotguns, they take big damage, but if they're far away, they take small damage. And what these exclusives do is change that multiplier to another small number. 0.75 is smaller than 1, 0.8 is smaller than 1, and if enemies are far away, you're not getting the benefit of shotguns, because the way shotguns work in this game, they have shoot pellets, but whenever an enemy is hit by a pellet, they take the full damage. So it's good if enemies are close, they're grouped together, you can hit many at a time. It doesn't really make sense if you're using it this way. You're also not getting the knockback, you're not getting the crit chance. This doesn't do anything. You shouldn't be using a shotgun at range, even if it does most of the damage. And 0.75 isn't that much of the damage. 0.8 of the damage, multiplicatively, is also not that much of the damage. It's better than 0.5 and 0.35, but it's just not enough. Also, they're too big. 2x8 is too big, okay? They're not good. So I actually think the riot gun is the worst gun in the game. It doesn't have a place literally at all. You should never, ever get it. It's garbage. And the reason it's garbage is that the base shotgun is the same, but better. Okay, what's next? The bolt action rifle. Bolt action rifle. I really like the bolt action rifle. It probably has the most like sex appeal of any of the weapons here because you rack the bolt. But that you can't put a number on that. You can put a number on the damage though, which is very low. Where is it? Here it is. 4 damage is really small, and it only gets up to 12 damage by the time, before you get the exclusive. It does have the advantage of you getting the exclusive early, And it is, I believe, the highest damage you can do. Let's check versus the Broken Butterfly. Yeah, it's the highest damage you can get for the Salazar boss fight per shot, which is at the end of 4-4. The fire speed is just bad, and you're locked doing that after every shot. The capacity, if you upgrade it, it's okay. Really, the issue is that if you compare the rifles, 4 damage, 7 damage, 5, 8, 6, 9, 8, 11, 10, 13, 12, 15. The semi-auto rifle is better every time by a significant amount. The fire speed for the rifle is advertised at 1.83, but it's closer to like 1 second, maybe 1.2-ish. If you shoot, unaim, re-aim, shoot, watch a speedrunner fight the Garador. Watch me fight the Garador, but I mess it up, so I'm saying watch a speedrunner. That's how you shoot faster with it. And if you get the exclusive, it shoots super duper fast. So it's closer to like 1.2, 1.3 seconds, just more or less, if you do it correctly. But even if you do it correctly, it's not going to be perfect. But either way, it's way better than 2.73. Also, the capacity is literally double when you first get it. So it's very difficult for me to give the point to the rifle. And really the only point to the rifle is the size. The very good exclusive. One of the only good exclusives, honestly. A lot of exclusives are garbage. And the fact that it's a rifle. So maybe I bump these up a little bit because I do use them. They're useful. They're so easy to get. You got to use them, right? Whereas the rifle, I think that's more like C tier. Literally just because the other rifle exists. Which, do I put it in A? I think I put it in A. It might go in S later. Maybe it swaps with the striker. I think it swaps with the striker because the range. And you don't really have range in this game except for rifles, and rifles have a lot of range. And the insta-kill potential for this, and what's the other thing? Headshots. If you get a headshot with the rifles, the enemy dies. And that means you don't have to upgrade the rifle at all. But if you want the exclusive, you have to upgrade it. Meanwhile, the base rifle and the semi-auto, if you just care about headshots, you don't upgrade them at all. And they're very cheap because you're just getting the base gun and not upgrades. So it's, you're kind of good to go. And the semi-auto rifle is obviously better for headshots because it shoots faster. And I think that's why the semi-auto rifle wins out. Literally just it shoots faster, you go for headshots. Who cares about the upgrades? And you don't get to say that, who cares about the upgrades, because you're getting headshots, if you go for the exclusive. I can't put a rifle in C tier though. It's still really good. I think it has to go higher. You don't have to care too much about the exact placements. Listen to the rationale, right? I'm not too concerned exactly where a different weapon falls. So obviously, for the reasons I've said, the semi rifle has to go in A. Punisher was already in D. Blacktail can go in C. Blacktail and red9. Okay, these are the ones we are comparing, right? Damage wise. So most of the weapons, you're going for a headshot crit with the rifle or the shotgun or getting the knockback. But the pistols and the TMP, I'm just putting them next to each other. I'm not putting them all in C, just so we can look at them. The thing you care about with those is the damage. So let's just do a rough estimate how much damage they do over time, all of these. So baseline, how are they doing damage-wise? The red9. Let's do, wrong one. The red 9 does, I know this by heart, 1.6 damage. The fire speed is 0.53. The reload is 2.37 seconds. Wow, that's slow. And the fire rate is, I already got that. Capacity is only 8. Wow. So you're getting 3 damage per second. That's terrible. Is that actually true? Because that seems so small. I guess that's just how it is. Yeah. And that's even the generous damage. It's only about 2 if you factor in reloads. So the red 9 is like really bad without upgrades. How does that compare to the blacktail? The blacktail starts at, I think it's 1.4. No, it's also 1.6. Okay. The reload is 1.7 seconds. Already very good. Fire speed is 0.47, which honestly is fast enough. You don't really need it to be faster. And the capacity starts at 15, almost double. So both of these numbers are way bigger. 2.7 and 3.4. They're just way bigger. So Blacktail, I think Blacktail's better. You get enough handgun ammo, you'll be fine. I promise. But what about the TMP? What about the TMP? The TMP I'm considering along with these two because the TMP and the Blacktail and the Red 9 don't really have any special things. You know, they don't have the headshot chance being high. They don't have knockback. They don't have range. They don't have penetration. They're just here for the damage. So that's why I'm considering them similarly, even though one of them isn't even a basic pistol. The TMP has firepower of 0.4, but that's not actually true. The TMP does 1.4 times damage, so some might say an increase of 40% against basic enemies. So use it against basic enemies. Don't use it on bosses where it does less damage. So it's not actually 0.4, it's 0.4 times 1.4. The reload is 2.37, which is surprisingly close to the Red 9. And the fire speed, I remember, is 0.1. And the capacity is 30 on baseline. And wow, would you look at that. Damage per second is crazy high. So right away, the TMP is winning. The TMP is also winning because you can access it earlier. You can get it as soon as you meet the merchant. And the TMP is winning because it's cheaper. The Blacktail is like 24,000, I think. Yep. And the Red 9 is 14,000. Where the TMP is only 10,000. By the way, if you're on the GameCube, it's like 12,000 or something. I don't actually remember. I've never played the GameCube version. So baseline TMP is better by a lot. Also, the TMP has its unique ammo type. So it's the only weapon that fills that niche. Also, RE4, everybody gets stunned by every bullet. So shooting one at a time is good. So you're not wasting as much on a stun. Also, if your bullets deal less damage and you're focused around firepower and you're using the ammo for which you get a lot of because it's special blue TMP ammo, you can stock up by doing those stuns and then unload when you need a lot of damage. You have that freedom, you have the flexibility, and you don't have the overkill that the Red 9 would. So the TMP is really, really good. Okay, well, what about their upgraded versions? Let's look at the upgraded Blacktail. Okay, the Blacktail exclusive is just straight up 4.5 damage. So 4.5. The reload is 0.83, literally less than a second of reloading. The speed is 0.27. And the capacity, I think it's 35. Yes, it's 35. So that's pretty good. 16, 17-ish, 15, 15 for the true DPS. These are really good. Another thing I'll say though, the Blacktail, since it reloads so quickly and has so much ammo, you get continuous shooting. It's not like the Red 9 where you have this huge segment where you're completely vulnerable. But all right, moving on. Doing the Red 9, 6.5 damage, 0.4 fire speed. Let me just change the order of this so it's off. It's going in line with my chart. 0.4 fire speed. The Blacktail is, well, Blacktail. The reload speed is 1.67, which is slow, very slow. And the capacity is 22. And these are comparable numbers, right? It's slightly higher naive DPS, and I think this was 15 on the other gun on the Blacktail, which is almost the same as its naive DPS because the thing reloads so fast. For the Blacktail, it reloads so fast. It's almost like every 35 shots, one of the bullets does 0 damage. Whereas the Red 9, like you're sitting there fumbling with the stripper clip for a while. So it really drops down the true DPS by a lot. And frankly, the true DPS is actually lower because you're doing overkill quite a bit. Okay, what about the TMP? TMP 1.8, but remember we have to multiply by 1.4. Fire speed is still 0.1. Reload is 1.17, which is only about a second. And the capacity is 250. So these numbers are just crazy high. 25 damage per second, which is barely higher than the true DPS of around 24. The TMP is better. The TMP is the best by quite a bit. It's also the cheapest. You get it the earliest, and it has its own ammo type. Also, it's not that big. The Red 9 is bigger. So there's really no reason to prefer any of the handguns over the TMP. The TMP is really good. The only thing it can't do is insta-kill, and it's not good against bosses. So I can't put it all the way at the top. Rifles can work against bosses because they could do big damage, but I'm keeping the rifle at S because you don't have to upgrade it at all. It just gets the headshots. I like the Blacktail and I like the Red 9. However, you just get so much TMP ammo. By the way, there's also like a random drop cap to how much ammo you get, and for the TMP it's 200. For the handguns it's kind of 70, but if you don't have a reloadable weapon other than a handgun, then it's infinite. So it's mostly 70. Rifles, magnums, it's infinite, but you're not getting much rifle ammo randomly or magnum. Shotgun, it's only like 25. So the TMP, 200 is the drop cap, and you're getting drops of 30 or 50. For the handguns, it's like 10. You're just getting more ammo for the TMP. So either of these I could see being put in S. TMP does have a bit of a hard time against shield guys, and it really can't do anything at range. It can't really do anything against bosses. It doesn't like fighting Plaga, so I think this is an okay spot for it. Now, on one hand, I want to put the Blacktail and the Red 9 higher, because they're so cool, and they're fan favorites, you know? I do want to put the Blacktail higher than the Red 9, because, as we saw, the Blacktail was just better in terms of the damage per second. The safety factor of not having to reload for an hour, the accuracy, it being smaller. The Blacktail is also cheaper. The Blacktail costs more initially. Red 9's 14, Blacktail 24, 24,000, 14,000. But if you look overall, say this one here, 24 versus 24, that's about the same. 30, 28, 40, 45. See, right here, the Red 9 overtakes it. So you're spending about the same amount of money until the exclusives, which is, wait, is the Red 9 actually more expensive? 80, 80, 40, 45, 30, 28, 24, 24, 18, 20, 15, 15. Okay, it looks like they're about the same. Yeah, okay. Never mind. They're priced about the same. I will say the red 9 and the blacktail are maybe the only guns where getting an exclusive is worth anything. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. The striker, the TMP, uh, the base rifle, all really benefit from their exclusives because they just get big damage. It's not like the Punisher where the exclusive does nothing. I don't like the exclusive for the handgun because I don't want a 38% crit chance more or less. It's just I don't like rolling the dice. I want the damage to be dealt. So I do really like these. And the thing is I just don't usually use a pistol. After the village, I use the TMP because the TMP is better. And I never have an issue. I doesn't this looks so scuffed, the base handgun being higher. But the thing is free and you get it immediately. Right? I'm factoring that in. If this were just raw stats, you put all the numbers into this and you just take the one that's higher, okay? So factoring in where you get them in the game and the fact that you get this for free, this is literally a rifle that insta-kills, I think that's why these have to be higher. Even though these are just better guns, right? Blacktail is better than the handgun in terms of the stats, by far. It's not close. But the handgun is free. It's really that simple. Okay. Flash, obviously A. Grenades, obviously A. Fire grenades, B. They just don't have as much uses. Flashes kill Plaga. They stun enemies so you can walk by. Especially helpful for Novies. It's great. No complaints. It's just really clear that they're good. Hand grenades prevent Plaga and kill groups. If you watch a speedrun or you do speedruns, this is how you get through the village. Because when you're at the village, you barely have anything. But one of the crows on the initial walk has a grenade. There's a grenade in the shotgun house. Shotgun's not great for killing quickly. Handgun's really not great for killing quickly. The grenade is. You can get 15 kills right away. And then when in the cabin, speedrunners use literally 4 grenades in the cabin. So the reason is they prevent Plaga, and there are a lot of Plaga in the cabin. There's a big group in the cabin. Luis doesn't get hurt by grenades. It's really good. The grenades have a smaller damage radius for you compared to enemies. It's really, really good. The fire grenade, I might drop it down. Nah, I'm keeping it higher just for Chief Mendez. Chief Mendez dies to fire grenade, phase 2, fire grenade, back up, fire grenade when he jumps down and he's near the barrel and the barrel hits him as well. 4 grenades, he dies. If you're on GameCube or Wii, I think you need a 5th one for phase 2. But that whatever, just get another one. They're everywhere. They're super helpful. They're good on shield guys. They're free. You just pick them up. But they are pretty niche. So I might put them. I think I put them higher than the shotgun because Chief Mendez. But they can't be an A tier. They're just too niche. There's also the glitch where you throw it at the Red Zealot in 3-2, and it lets you kill him super quick. Watch a speedrun, you'll see it. Fire grenades are good, but they're just not used that often. They're really good against Mendez. They're really good for that glitch. They're fine for shield dudes, but it is a little sketchy throwing them at your feet. But they are good, and they're free, so you just throw them. Okay, Mine Thrower. Mine Thrower, I basically don't use unless I'm doing a challenge run. But it's so good. Yeah, I'm putting this in B tier. And the reason for that, why is the Mine Thrower above the Red 9? Because it fills a niche. Nothing else fills the niche that this fills. Maybe the grenades, okay? But By the way, there really aren't stats for this thing. It just does a grenade's worth of damage. And you might say, hey, but I don't get enough ammo for the mine thrower. Then shoot it. Then use the mine thrower. Because the thing starts, okay? Look at the stats for the mine thrower. It starts with 5 shots. Okay? And then if you pick up another like mine pack with 5, that's 10 shots right away. The drop limit for mines is 10. The moment you have 9 mines, you'll get more mines. So just use it and you get more. Also, you can sell it and rebuy. It's less than 10,000 pesetas. So you can spend 9,800 pesetas, get 5 more grenades, go ping, 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 and then you can spend another 25,000 to get 7, which you don't even have to do because I think that's like not cost efficient if you just run the numbers. But you could sell it, rebuy. It's great. You know, if you want more grenades, if you're doing some sort of stupid, this is the gun that saved me in my. You can't pick up items. You can only buy stuff from the merchant run. I just bought and sold and bought and sold this thing, and got so many mines from it. It just isn't that important in a normal playthrough. But if you're doing something weird or you want to shoot shield guys, it is very effective. So I think I put it ahead of the base rifle because it fills that niche that other stuff doesn't really do. And maybe you say, yeah, it fills the same niche as the base grenades. In which case, well, grenades are A tier, so it does something similar to that, right? Matilda is garbage. Um, it's just the TMP but worse. Like it's literally the TMP but worse. I didn't write down the stats for the Matilda, I don't think, but I know it maxes out at like 2.5 or something. And or maybe it's 1.5. I actually don't remember. Matilda RE4. It maxes out at 2.5. Okay. So the maximum firepower for the Matilda is 2.5, but what's the max firepower for the TMP? 1.8. And 1.8 times 1.4, because remember TMP does extra damage, is 2.52. Literally the same as the Matilda, plus a little bit. So then it's like, why would you ever use the Matilda? The TMP is better, it takes up less space, is full auto instead of a burst. I did time it out. It's about 0.1 per shot, 0.1 second per shot. Like I timed how much time it takes for the ammo to deplete. And it's about on par with the TMP. It's bigger, you can't quick turn. It's really bad. There's no reason to get it other than it's cool. Broken Butterfly and Killer 7. So if this was just a battle of stats, I actually don't know who would win. So just to make it easy on myself, I'm putting Rocket in S tier so that we can think. Actually, Rocket doesn't need to be in S tier. Yes, it does. 30,000 to kill a boss is broken. I'm not even going to talk about it more. It's so obvious. Killer 7 versus Butterfly. I don't know. I think if you're trying to go fast, so here's the issue, okay? You can get the Butterfly in 3-1 if you really want it, or you can wait till 4-1 actually helps you get it for free. Though honestly, I don't think that's that important because it's only 38,000. You're not saving that much money. The real price for weapons comes from the upgrades, not the actual weapon, right? Look at stats. Just TMP for example, 10,000 to buy, and then a later upgrade is 24,000. Right, most of the expense comes from the upgrades, not the weapon itself. So the free Butterfly is cool, but it's not integral. But you do get it so early. So what bosses can you fight with this? Garador, double Garador. This plus TMP is like your only way of quick killing Verdugo without the rocket launcher. The giants in the mines. Salazar, there are a lot of bosses where this is your big gun. It's also one of the other cool guns. Just pointing that out. Uh, I, I I think the 1911 with the laser sight looks kind of silly, but statistically, it's not that great. 13 damage, and then it costs a lot, and it can only upgrade. Let's just focus on this part, because sorry, on this part, because here you can get the Killer 7, and the Killer 7 starts with 25 damage. So that's on par. So you can spend 70 plus 50 plus 35 plus 30 plus 25 plus 13,000 and you get it 28 damage, or you can get the Killer 7 for 77,000 or 78,000, I suppose. And it does 25 damage. So since this is 5-3, which is after you get the Killer 7, and this is 4-3 before you get the Killer 7, this is what I'm really comparing. Do you want to spend a lot of money to get the Broken Butterfly early? And I think the answer is yes, if you're not using the rocket. The rocket is so game breaking that I might even say I care about what the balance looks like if you just don't allow it, in which case the butterfly is at least a B tier. It has to at least be a B tier because it's good on the bosses. But because you're playing suboptimally if you're not using the rocket launcher, and if you are using the rocket launcher, you just don't need the butterfly for the bosses. I think I need to put the Killer 7 higher because when you look at a speed run, right? By the way, it's not a coincidence that all of the high tier weapons are used in speedruns. I think that just has to be the case. If you don't agree with that, that's okay. I'm not too concerned about the exact rankings. I'm just saying my piece about what I think about these. That's really what this is about, not the actual rank. So if you disagree on the ranking, that's okay. I would disagree on the ranking in like a day, right? So it's just the rationale. Okay, that's gonna stay the same. All of these weapons are used in speedruns. These are not. So I think that makes sense, right? The top tier weapons are all used in speedruns. I think that makes sense, you know? And the butterfly is better if you don't use the best gun in the game. Well, I don't know if rockets are guns. I don't think so. So the butterfly would be higher. I think the butterfly might even be better than the Killer 7, literally just because you get it so early and it can help on the bosses. But when you look at the stats for the Killer 7, it is just a better weapon. You get it at 25 damage right away. It shoots at about the same speed, exactly the same speed. It reloads so much faster. It costs just the base price. That's all you should be paying. Don't get the upgrades for it. Um, it's really expensive, and you barely get any extra help. Just get the base gun. It insta kills Ganado, and that's it. That's all you need. It insta kills Ganado. And why do you not care about how it does on bosses? Because you have the rocket launcher. But wait, there's one boss where it does matter, and that is Sadler. If you get precisely a Killer 7 with 25 damage, baseline, shoot him in the leg eye, shoot him in the face eye, shoot him with a rocket launcher, Ada throws the other rocket, you shoot him. But if you're using an upgraded Killer 7, all of a sudden, you shoot him in the leg eye, you shoot him in the face eye, he gets up. You don't get a chance to rocket him. So it's actually better to not upgrade the thing. I hate to say, but I don't actually know if you have a 28 damage butterfly, does he get up after that second shot? I don't really think that matters, If you're sticking with the broken butterfly, you're just not doing a rocket launcher run, so you don't really care about that. But I am pointing that out. The Killer 7 is good on Sadler, unupgraded, and it's really cheap. You don't have to get upgrades for it, which is why the rifle is so high. It's why the striker is so high. It's why the TMP is so high. None of these need upgrades. This is just good damage on its own. Insta-kill's Ganado. This is headshot insta-kill. Really good. It's fast when you re-aim. This thing is fast. Pow, pow, pow. No pumping the action like this one or this one. This is fully auto. This has been like way too long. This is fully auto. 30 bullets right out the gate. You don't have to upgrade it, but you can. Upgrading these all, and it does great damage. This one, you upgrade it. If you're on New Game Plus, obviously the Butterfly is better. But if you're on New Game Plus, you have the Thompson. So literally, who cares? So I think this is the list. Do I put the riot gun? I think I raised the riot gun a little bit. It's better than the Punisher because the Punisher is worse than the other pistols, but the riot gun is about equal to the shotgun. So I do think it's a mistake cost-wise to get the riot gun. You're not losing out on much damage. You're not losing out on damage. It's similar damage. But if you're using the Punisher, it's just worse. By the way, if you shoot the medallions, I think you're silly. What do you need the money for? You have enough money. No. That's not what I mean. I mean the money's not really worth it. You have to shoot 15 medallions or 10 medallions. And that means you're spending more time in the farm or the graveyard, which are areas you could otherwise just run through. Yeah, it's just not worth it. So yeah, I think that's the list. Okay. I'm just trying to be aware of how they perform, like, given... Let's just do one last look. S tier, rocket, obviously. S tier for the rifle. Headshot insta-kills. You really can't beat that. You don't have to upgrade it. Striker? Do I put the Striker higher? Because it kind of solos on the elevator. It solos on the minecart. It solos on the truck with Ashley. You don't have to upgrade it for any of those. The enemies just get knocked off or they have low health or something. And it's smaller. Yeah, like I would rather the Striker there than a rifle, you know? But you could use a different shotgun and it'll be fine. Now you don't have to use... The important part is the knockback. A tier is a little crowded. A tier is a little crowded, so maybe that's why I put the Striker up there. TMP A tier, yeah, for sure. But it is less than the rifle and the Striker because you could use a handgun, you know? You could just use a handgun. It's okay. You're not doing as much damage. You're not making use of TMP ammo if you're just using handgun. But if you want to kill Salazar and not use a Magnum, you use the red9 or the blacktail. Because the TMP is not good against bosses. It usually has a damage penalty. Handgun, shotgun, you get those for free at the beginning of the game, right? So they are useful. They have a use. They're just not good, so they can only be B tier. Mine Thrower is like the king of challenge runs, and I'm kind of putting it here for the Cinderella pick. Rifle and Magnum are really, really, really good. It's just you're playing suboptimally, because if you're using the Magnum, the Butterfly, you're not using the Rocket. And if you're using the bolt action, you're not using the semi-auto. And it's kind of the story with the Blacktail and the red9 for the TMP, except they use different ammo. But I just don't feel like they're consistent enough. Maybe I need to swap the mine thrower and the blacktail. But you don't need a blacktail if you want to do blacktail things. You could use the TMP. You don't need the red9 if you want to do red9 things. You can get the TMP. But if you want to do the mine thrower things, you need a mine thrower. There aren't that many grenades. So I think I'm happy with this. Riot Gun is just a worse version, a more expensive version of the worst shotgun. Punisher is just really, really bad. Matilda, I don't really want it to be in this list because I'm only doing base game guns. But if you count New Game Plus, it's bad. Okay, there we go. Great.